What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to another episode of NBA Weekly. I'm your host, Pee Wee the Plug, and since we're about a week away from the start of the season, it's only right that I give y'all my award predictions. Now, I will admit, over the last few years, my predictions have been all over the place. I've been highly accurate in some areas. I've been crazy off in some others. This year, I'm trying not to go too crazy out of the box and really guess and predict who can win these awards so I can have a year where I'm like 100% from the field. So without further ado, let's dive right into these awards. Let's get it. The first award that I'm going to start with is an award that I think a lot of us probably have the same answer to, and that's the Rookie of the Year award with Paolo Banchero. Though I do know he has some threats with Jaden Ivey and Keegan Murray, who I'm a big believer in, I do think it looks like Paolo is the front runner for this award, and it's basically his award to lose. He's a guy who's NBA ready, has NBA moves. He's going to a situation where he's going to be able to thrive and get a lot of shots and play his style of basketball early on. The Orlando Magic are going to prioritize setting the foundation around him. He's also playing with a lot of great players who's going to mesh and match well with him, like Wendell Carter, Franz Wagner. I think him and Cole Anthony in a pick and roll situation can be something that's dangerous. And I think the Magic have a solid team. Will the Magic be a playoff team? I think that's a little too rich, but I don't see them being a bottom feeder of the Eastern Conference again. And I think Paolo Banchero is going to have the opportunity, the usage, and the numbers to pull away with the Rookie of the Year award pretty easily. Now, Keegan Murray, again, like I said, I'm a big believer in Keegan Murray. I think a lot of those same things that I said for Paolo can line up for Keegan Murray. But it is interesting to see in the preseason, Keegan Murray has been coming off the bench. Not saying that that's going to be the same way throughout the course of the season. But when you talk about usage, opportunity, and numbers, I think Keegan Murray is another threat to have all of those boxes checked off. I think he fits really well with Domantas Sabonis. I think he fits well with De'Aaron Fox. I can see him grabbing and going, playing both sides of the floor, guarding 2 through 4, having some high-scoring nights, some double-doubles, flirting with some triple-doubles with his passing ability. Keegan Murray, I think, is a close number 2, and if there is anybody I could see pulling away with this award that's not named Paolo Banchero, it is Keegan Murray. The next award I'm going to go with is the Coach of the Year. I think this team is going to make some big noise in the regular season. They're going to be a super good team defensively. I think they have a lot of weapons. Last year, they were a surprise to watch, and that's Chris Finch and the Timberwolves. I think adding Rudy Gobert, adding Kyle Anderson, even Austin Rivers, and these next years of Jaden McDaniels, Anthony Edwards, I think this team can be primed to have a really good regular season. Coach of the Year is a regular season award. I think when you look at them last year and you saw how good they were, and you add in what they added this offseason, they are primed to have a much better and improved year. I think Chris Finch was a candidate last year and should have had some votes go his way. But this year, with the addition of Rudy, this team could win 50-plus games and be one of the top teams at the top of the Western Conference. So if you add in all of that, I do think Chris Finch can run away with this award. Now, out east, you do have J.B. Bickerstaff, who can be in the same position. The Cavaliers were the darlings of last year, played a different brand of basketball than we've been used to seeing over the last few years. Instead of going small, they went big. You add in Donovan Mitchell. You add in the fact that Evan Mobley is in his second year. Darius Garland is fresh off an All-Star year. Jared Allen is fresh off an All-Star year. You got Karis LeVert off that bench. Isaac Okoro is another year of experience that he can add to his utilage. So I think that the Cavaliers can be right in the mix. But ultimately, I am going to give the nod to Chris Finch because I think the Timberwolves have a better chance of being a higher and better regular season team than the Cavaliers. So I'm going to go with Chris Finch for Coach of the Year. Staying on the topic of defense, as we just discussed the Timberwolves and Rudy Gobert and his potential impact he can have on them defensively, I almost picked him for the Defensive Player of the Year award again. But this time, I'm going to go with Bam Adebayo. I feel like Bam has been extremely close over the last few years. I think the hole at the 4 losing P.J. Tucker is going to put more responsibility on Bam plate from a defensive side of the basketball. And I do believe in his statements that he had during Media Day where he is one of the true guys that can guard 1 through 5. That term to me has been thrown around way too loosely. But when I think about the short list of guys who can actually be as versatile as Bam, he's definitely high on the list. It's him, Ben Simmons, and there may be 2 other guys that aren't at the top of my brain right now, but it's a very short list, and Bam is definitely on that list to be able to protect the rim, guard the perimeter, guard guards at a high level, switch onto guys on the perimeter, pick and roll. He does a lot of different things to cover up some of the holes in Miami's defense, and I think this year, if the Heat have the success that we're used to seeing them have, a lot of that is going to come from Bam having a super impactful defensive year. And so for that reason, I'm going to give him the edge over Rudy. I do think Rudy, depending on the type of impact he has on the Timberwolves, can make major noise. It can run off with the award by far. If the Timberwolves just turn it up and become one of the best hands-down defenses in the NBA and everybody's just D'ing up all of a sudden, Rudy is going to be the reason why. And that could make him a very, very strong favorite. But ultimately, I got to go with Bam Adebayo. Speaking of the Miami Heat, Tyler Hero last year ran away with the Sixth Man of the Year award. I think he's going to be another candidate for this award. I also think of Jordan Clarkson out there in Utah. But the one thing for Jordan Clarkson is the fact that he might be a big-time trade candidate at some part during the season for the Utah Jazz. So it's hard for me to keep him in the conversation. So ultimately, I'm running away with this award with Jordan Poole. I think nobody in this running will be able to challenge him at all. When you think about microwave scoring off of the bench, I don't think there's anybody that can do it better than Jordan Poole. The only thing that I can see hindering Jordan Poole from winning this award is the fact that Steph Curry and Klay Thompson over the last few years have missed a hunch of time. They've missed a bunch of time, and that's forced Jordan Poole to play more starter minutes. And we know if he starts a certain amount of games, it could take him away from the award. But I'm wishing health on the Warriors this year, and I'm expecting him to play a full vital six-man of the year. I'm expecting Poole to play a full year of six-man role, and I think if that's the case, he's going to run away with the award by far. Kind of like Tyler Hero last year. There was a part where Tyler Hero was just the first guy, and we didn't care about second or third, and I think we can see the same thing from Jordan Poole. Also considering the fact that Tyler Hero could start being a starter for the Miami Heat after his new contract. Now, like I've said on the podcast a bunch of different times, I really, really was frustrated to see Ja Morant win the MIP last year. I just feel like Most Improved Player award has always been something where we looked at not the top picks. You know, it wasn't an award for a guy like Ja Morant to win, or now you have people coming out with Anthony Edwards as the favorite. These guys are first overall picks who've had great starts to their career. Second overall pick had a great start to his career. Any top pick who's won it has probably been somebody like Victor Oladipo, who's had an up and down start to his career in Orlando, got traded to OKC, then boom, played at all-star level that fast in Indiana. That's the type of storyline that I think of when we talk about the Most Improved Player of the Year award. So for me, I love Tyrese Halliburton to win this award. I know a lot of people have Anthony Edwards, but I think Anthony Edwards is doing everything we expected of him. I think potentially Tyrese Halliburton can be a guy who dipped and fell in the draft, wasn't a top overall pick, got traded, and I think now with Indiana and the team that they have, he can be a guy who can be a 20-10 candidate and a potential all-star depending on how well the Indiana Pacers do. That type of jump versus what he had last year after being traded, I think could put him in a prime position to take over this award. Not to mention, for some reason, putting on that Indiana Pacer uniform puts you in a situation where you potentially are going to win an award. We talk about Victor Oladipo, Paul George, Jalen Rose. The Pacers are going to have guys win this award. Domantas Sabonis, I believe, won this award for the Pacers, if I'm not mistaken. So the Pacers have a history of developing guys to improve and be the most improved player. I think Tyrese Halliburton can be a guy who can join the list of all the other Pacers to run off with this award. And then last but not least, the MVP, the most valuable player of the year award. I got to go with Luka again. Luka has been my answer over the last few years. I think last year I actually had Jokic. Or one of the years Jokic won, I did predict Jokic. But I think last year for Jokic's second MVP, I picked Luka. I think Luka is just a player who plays MVP-type basketball. He's doing everything for his team, rebounding, assisting, scoring. Last year he locked in defensively. He's carrying a team that isn't looked at as an overpowering, talented team, and he's putting them in position to have playoff success, hit a lot of game winners, tough shots, making all the right plays, and he's just a dog. He has that dog in him. He's a guy who's a stat sheet stuffer, flirting with triple doubles throughout the course of the year. The only thing that has hindered him is the fact that the Mavericks haven't been one of those top superior teams out west. I personally think this year this is one of the best rosters Luka has played with since he's been with the Mavericks. I think they have depth. I think they have starters that complement him and who could defend. JaVale McGee was a big addition. Christian Wood off that bench is a big addition. They still have Spencer Dinwiddie coming off the bench as well, Maxi Kleber. Then when you talk about the starters and Reggie Bullock, who played really well next to Luka, Dorian Finney-Smith, Tim Hardaway Jr. is going to be back. I think this is one of the most complete rosters the Mavericks have had since they've had Luka. Now, Joel Embiid out east is going to be a big challenge for Luka because I think the 76ers have one of the best rosters, and I think they're going to win a lot of games out east. They're going to probably be one of the top 2 seeds, top 3 seeds out east. Joel Embiid is going to put up monster huge numbers. He's trying to pretend like he don't care about the award no more, but a lot of us know Joel Embiid really wants that MVP award, so I can see him coming out and being hungry. And then we also have to consider the fact that Jokic could three-peat. They have Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. back. They've added KCP. They've added Bruce Brown. This team looks like they can be one of the best teams in the NBA overall, and if that's the case, Jokic has to play a strong part in consideration. But ultimately, I'm going to put my trust in Luka, put my trust in his moments, his numbers, his narrative, and I think this is the year he finally gets the MVP. Maybe voter fatigue does come into play, and we just want to crown a new MVP. But I think ultimately Luka Doncic is the MVP. And that's it for me. That's all the awards. I know a lot of y'all going to have strong disagreements. I know a lot of y'all going to be like, man, I got Joel for MVP. I got this guy for MVP. Let me know in the comments. I'm dying to hear what y'all have, especially for some of those intermediate awards like the Defensive Player of the Year or Coach of the Year. See if y'all have some answers that I didn't think of. As always, I am Pee Wee the Plug. Much love to y'all. Make sure you like the video and subscribe if you're new. As always, I will see you guys in the next episode. I'm out. Peace.